The market's shifting, and this is a very unstable time for real estate agents, and they're trying to figure out how do I tell the different personalities, not only from buyers and sellers, but again, from other real estate agents. So what do they need to know?
Welcome to the Jennifer J. Hammond Podcast. Jennifer is a licensed realtor, educator, speaker, and best-selling author. Jennifer's goal is to help you find your yay in every day.
Hello, it's Jennifer Hammond, and I'm so excited. We have Jason Avery here. Yeah.
Yay, how you doing, Jennifer? Nice to see you.
So happy to have you, Jason. So you have many, many years in the contracting, and you've done this for a long time. But one thing that I think is that I recently found out about you is that you understand all the personalities. And how do we work with these personalities? The market's shifting, and this is a very unstable time for real estate agents, and they're trying to figure out how do I tell the different personalities, not only from buyers and sellers, but again, from other real estate agents. So what do they need to know?
It applies to every part of our life, maybe even our spouses. The thing about behavior is that we're all wired differently. We're all wired very uniquely. And so we have to understand that our behavior may be affecting our referability with other people to start. And it could be holding us back. If you've got that one contract that's sort of sitting on the fence and, teetering, and you can't figure out how to get them to close, well, you probably need to learn a little bit more about how behaviors can affect referability. At Asentiv, a company I've been associated with for years, there's a program, Roomful of Referrals, which break that down. And first, we got to understand that there's 4 different kinds of people. And we have the go-getters. They're the very fast-paced, very task-oriented people. We have the promoters. They're very fast-paced and people-oriented. We have the nurturers. They're slower-paced and they're people-oriented. And then we have the examiners, and they're the slower-paced but task-oriented. And so what do the fast-paced, task-oriented people have in common with the slower-paced, people-oriented people? Not much. So there's these things called the diagonals that could potentially be, hurting us or holding us back from these relationships. So I'd love to tell you a little bit more about each of the styles and, how you can identify them and how you can start to adapt to them. But it's definitely a concept that you have to grasp. It's not the golden rule that we all learned in, elementary. It's not treating people the way that I want to be treated. It's the platinum rule. We're going to treat people the way that they want to be treated. And with that, these people are going to relate and love us for it.
Yeah, Jason, I think that's beautiful. I remember that was one of the first things I learned, where I feel like it's so interesting. I do that with communication style. One of the first shocking things to me in real estate was when I upset somebody so much with a text message. And I was like, I'm sorry, I don't even and she called and she was yelling at me. And I mean, really, she was upset with me. And I thought I was being polite because I didn't want to interrupt her day with a phone call. And I found out that, again, she doesn't want a text message. She wants a phone call. She wants to have for her, and it was her personality style. I could say that different age groups like different types of it. I have some clients who they actually will force me to communicate with them with an I am on social media. And I'm like, what? I don't, but the thing is it's how they want to be communicated with, not how I want to be communicated with, because they're the client, right?
I tell you, it's so interesting because, again, they say, opposites might attract. If it were me we're communicating with, I would absolutely appreciate the text message. If you tried to call me in the middle of the day, I'm looking at my phone like, oh, I don't have time for this. My wife, on the other hand, is exactly that client you previously described. She's the one that if she tries to send a text, she's going to write it, then delete half of it, and then rewrite it, and then say, are you sure? Is this okay? Should I say it that way? Before she says, it takes her time to commit to the way she's going to send it. She doesn't want to give somebody the wrong feeling or impression. In her mind, it's so much easier to pick up the phone where you can express yourself. So again, are you dealing with a more task-oriented person? Or, you're dealing with somebody that's more people-oriented, and that might make a difference. But the key is that we have to know the difference because we have to be able to speak multiple languages. I mean, if you ever been to a foreign country and you didn't understand what they were saying, did that make you feel a little uncomfortable? And we got to be able to learn how to speak each person's language so we can make them all feel comfortable. And so, if we were, working with that go-getter, that fast-paced, task-oriented person, here's some things you need to understand, some things you can take away today. That person, you need to get right down to the point. They are busy, driven, hungry. They're somewhat aggressive in the way that they just knock down any obstacle in their way. They're going to get the result. They're going to win the game. That's the type of personality that they have. They want to drive forward all the time, success, look good, empowered, old. You can tell those people just by body language or by the way they're talking, very short and direct and to the point. Throw away some of those niceties. Or some other people in the room might be viewing them thinking, why is that person so rude? Gosh, they're such a jerk. And so it could be affecting us, and we want to be able to work with all of these people. They could all potentially be clients. We need to speak their language too. Sometimes this go-getter needs to soften up the edges a little bit, tone it down a little bit, and take some time. Don't be so busy that you're not giving time to the people who need you to nurture the relationship. Yeah. If you're dealing with those promoters, it's a little different. Very fast paced, go, go, go. They're the social butterflies. They're wearing bright and bold colors, and they're happy, and they're hugging, and they're talking with their hands. You can see those people in their body language, right? You know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
Go, go, go. You know everybody, on a first name basis. The relationship's a little shallower, but they know everybody. They're well connected. They're all over town. Are they taking time to deepen relationships? That's important. And if we want that to last, if we want it to become a referral generating relationship. So, they're sometimes viewed by others, especially the very detailed people, they're viewed as being a little flighty, a little frivolous. They always show up 5 minutes late to the appointment. To the people who work on military time, you're 20 minutes late. So how are you affecting people and knowing how to make sure you're going to keep that client happy, understanding the way they're perceiving you, the way they're judging you. Those slower paced people, the nurturers, they're the ones that might need a little more handholding. And they're not comfortable making fast-paced decisions. So don't try. If you try and close the deal, they're just going to push you back further, and they're going to be more uncomfortable with making the decision at all. You have to take your time, go through the details, one at a time, say, hey, I'm ready. We can, happy to help you move this forward. But if you'd rather discuss it with the family and talk it over, we can certainly come back to this on Tuesday. And, allowing them that little bit of cushion, as you're leading them down the path. And then, of course, your slower paced, task-oriented people, the examiners, and you better spell check the contract before you send it over. Because if you didn't dot some I's and cross some T's, they're probably not going to engage in the contract. They're going to correct it, give it a B-, send it back to you for homework.
I've actually had an attorney do that to me. I was like, huh? Wait, but I don't,
Right? So, but different things appeal to the different behaviors. So we got to learn how we're going to speak their language if we want to appeal to them, how we're going to get them off the fence and get them to commit to things. The go-getter likes, flashy, and they like high-end, and they want the best of the best. So, offer it to them that way. Here's option A, B, or C. You're an A person, aren't you? I can tell you're going to want the A, And then, your voters, they hate paperwork. If you give them the paperwork and tell them fill out all this stuff, gather all these documents, you're going to be waiting forever. You're going to miss your contract date. You're going to have to fill that stuff out for them. You can sit them down and ask them questions. They'll give you all the answers, but you're going to have to fill out that stuff for them or it's never going to get done. And again, hold the hand of the nurturer, give all the details to the examiner. Don't go there thinking you're going to close the deal unless you've sent it to them in advance for their own chance to review and do their own research, check their own points. When you come to the close, they might have a list of 10 questions. If you've got the right answers, probably close, but you're going to have to give them that time. If you show up thinking you're going to close today and they just saw it the first time, it's never happened.
And so often, I was going to say, so often the examiner I have found to be the lawyers, because the lawyers are the ones that I'm always like, so would you like to see the documents 24 hours prior to signing them. And they're like, yes, oh my gosh, because I made the mistake. What you're saying is so important, because here's a quick story. It was probably my second year in real estate. And sure enough, one of my best friends from college, she had just gotten out of law school. And sure enough, she was 8 hours at the title company reading every single document and every single word. And it was absolutely like, I was like, okay, I've learned from this. Ask the question beforehand, but I never had a name for it. But it sounds like that's what an examiner would be.
And so let's not stereotype and say it's, lawyers that are that way, because I can show you, and I think you and I might know some mutual acquaintance lawyers where, one that does insurance is very spitfire, go, 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 all promoter. He's all about the marketing. And I've helped mentor and coach him on building his team of other associate lawyers to do all the legwork down the line, and to help put him in his strength. And same goes with, I know other lawyers who to sit behind the scenes at the desk processing the title work, and have other people out there in the forefront speaking on their behalf. Because again, we got to understand our strengths in each of these behaviors and apply them correctly. Put a go-getter at the head of the team to lead and charge and set the goals and drive people. Have the promoter market it and sell it to the world and tell everybody all about it. And have the nurturer be the HR, take care of the people within, make sure they're all being heard and they're all comfortable and happy and growing, and have the examiner take care of the IT and the accounting and the details. Understand the strengths. And Ivan Meisner, the father of modern networking, says, live in your flame, not in your wax.
Ooh.
Live in your flame, not in your wax. And again, to me, I'm that, outgoing. I want to be, leading the charge. I have to do the accounting. I know how to do it. I can do it as good as anybody can do it. But I'm going to procrastinate about it until the end of the month. And on the last day, the last hour, I'm going to be staying up till midnight. I'm going to be crunching things out. And then I'm going to be like, blown about that for the next 2 days trying to recover. And because it's just not what I enjoy. It's not what feeds my natural behavior. So, again, we got to first understand ourselves, how we're affecting others. Then we got to start to really learn how to identify that in other people. And so then we can adapt a little bit and become more relatable so we can be more referable. Dawn Lyons, who scripted that book, Roomful of Referrals, that led to the class, Dawn's quote that has always resonated with me, she says, when you understand people even more than your product or service, you'll be unusually successful.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh. Say that again.
When you understand people even more than your product or service, you'll be unusually successful.
I love that. I just love that, because the thing is so often that's the part that I think one of the biggest holes for real estate agents is they just keep pushing forward and they keep treating every single one of their clients the same. And maybe you've attracted a lot of the same clients, but most of the time you haven't. And maybe you have a husband with the same as another husband, but guess what? The wives are different, and you need to make sure that you are looking at who is right in front of you right now and not making it something that it's not.
Husbands and wives, because they're behaved different, they're wired different, they also buy differently. And now the detailed examiner buys on the details and the facts only, and the research. The promoter in the opposite corner is 100% about the relationship and the person that they're working with. They don't care about any of those details. It's, if you agree and we agree, and this is great, I love working with you. It's all about the relationship. So it's two different animals there. Again, and the person who needs the hand holding and wants you to cover all the details, the nurturer, versus the go-getter who says, just give me the bottom line and get right to the point. I'm busy. I got to go. So we got to be able to treat and these people the way that they want to be treated.
Yeah, I think that again, like you said, not the golden rule, but the platinum rule, right? How they want to be treated, not how you want to be treated, because we're all different people. I think that's so powerful beyond words, is make sure you know who's in front of you. And I think that also is part of, just understanding that you need to probably ask not only more questions, but you probably need to ask better questions, right?
Yeah. And the way people answer questions can be very different. So we've been talking about lawyers. I've worked with lawyers, actually helping them do jury selection.
Oh,
because we wanted to know very carefully who was going to be in that jury. It was going to be a case with lots of information, lots of details. And we knew that the promoters, probably the openers, could never sit through it all. We were worried about the nurturers being too compassionate for the person versus the company or whatnot. So we had to focus on trying to find the examiners and the detail-oriented people. So they gave me their list, what questions they intended to ask. We crafted their list a little bit to ask the same question in a slightly different way so that it would be more revealing based on their answer of what their style was, what the stance was. And then I got to dress up in my fancy suit for the day and sit at that table behind the wall, the little swing door. I got to go to that side of it, and I got to sit there and
nice.
just evaluate, listen to their answers, and decide, behavioral styles so that I could help guide the legal team on who they might want or not want in their jury based on behavior.
And I think that's so amazing to think that by watching and observing people and asking them questions, we can learn so much. And again, I think that the to me, the secret of that is, again, helping people give them what they want, not necessarily what you were thinking would be the thing to give them, is knowing what they want and giving it to them. That's success.
We apply it in my construction business. We apply it at home shows. We're going to meet thousands of people inside of one weekend. How do we take the customer and determine right away in the first couple minutes of the conversation what their behavioral style is, and then align them with the sales or designer person on our team that's of the like style? So we make the relationship easier, smoother, more natural, instead of having to put people in a position of adapting all the time. So we try to, align things that way just to affect our close ratio, get a better close ratio. Now, the same content applies though when you're in the home. I've had, the wife who wanted to go through all the details and talk about all the information, but it was driving the husband crazy. He wanted the bottom line. What's the price going to cost? And so, if I have to speak different languages, well, I'll tell you what, sir, I don't have enough information yet to get you that information you're looking for, but I can tell you're a busy guy. Why don't you tend to, some business, whatever you got to do. And when I have what you're asking for ready, I'll call you out there and we'll go through it really quickly for you. How does that sound? He goes, that's perfect. He scoots off to his office. Then I had to flip back to her and say, now we've got lots of things we're going to do. And when we get to the granite yard, go picking out the colors, that's when it really gets fun. But I had to pep her back up because she was just traumatized by the behavior of her own husband. This wasn't going to become a closed situation. I had to put them in their corners, separate them, talk to them differently, and then bring them back together when everybody was ready to close. And we closed the deal that day. So, we got to do that differently. One last note was, what about your employees? What about the people working around you? Are they going to be infighting with each other all the time because this person sucks at this and I'm great at that? Because it's their behavior tends to have different skill sets. So how do you teach them what each other's skill sets are so they start to appreciate the things that that person does that you don't want to do, and working together more cohesively as a team? We got to be able to speak all these languages.
I think that's brilliant. And I know that also I've had more than one couple who didn't make it through as a couple in a renovation. And you just precisely got, whereas if they could have had their own love language, their own communication style, if you had understood, the contractor that had worked with them had understood that, I think they would have survived some of those where it was just a matter of, like you just said, the wife was so traumatized by it because she didn't understand. It was completely different than her way of looking at this. Amazing change, because again, through real estate, people are going through these changes in their lives. Unfortunately, sometimes it's death. Sometimes it's a new marriage and they're just getting to know each other. It's change. And that you need to understand somebody's style before you can help them through change.
So how do people react to change?
Yeah.
They're going to react differently based on their behavior too. So you give the go-getter a problem, they're going to say, give me the problem, and they're going to go try and bulldoze it and tackle it. Sometimes the problem didn't need fixing. For others of us, we just needed to talk it out and get it off our chest and air it and let it go. Didn't need to be solved. So we got to know sometimes, who we're speaking to and adapt that so that we can, get along and move forward.
Exactly.
My wife has been to the program with me multiple times. I thought it was a great thing, so she'll know why I am the way I am, and then I wouldn't have to adapt so much, right? No, she doesn't let me get away with that. And if I'm trying to get my way and I adapt too much to her style, she catches me and she says, "Don't you pull that on me."
That's brilliant. I love that. Oh, well, I know we're almost out of time, so I want to make sure that people know about your book and your website. Will you share how people can get in touch with you?
Yeah. So again, I do coaching, consulting for contractors and tradespeople, but I also just go out and speak for entrepreneurs in general about behaviors, about referral relationships and strategies, and how to grow a business. And so you can find out more about me at construct-success